she's completely flirtatious with him.
I'm just shocked at how many lies were told, okay?
So it's official. Blake lively cheated on Ryan Reynolds, or at least tried to, with Justin Baldoni. And now all the missing pieces are falling into place like a scandalous Hollywood jigsaw puzzle. This isn't just about a fake feminist getting caught. No, Blake is the worst kind. The kind who hides behind the language of empowerment while pulling strings, twisting truths, and manipulating narratives to get exactly what she wants. And when Justin Baldoni, a married man, shut her down, that's when the mask slipped. She didn't take rejection lightly. She went straight for the jugular, trying to drag his name through the mud. Blake Lively, the supposed picture of elegance, the devoted wife, the Hollywood golden girl. Turns out she had a very different script running behind the scenes. While the public saw her filing lawsuits and crying about being made uncomfortable on set, she was actually chasing after Baldoni like a crazed superfan. She really thought she could have any man she wanted, no questions asked. But when Baldoni gave her a clear, respectful no, Blake didn't just walk away. She declared war. Instead of walking away with an ounce of dignity, she did what far too many entitled starlets do, flipped the script and played the victim. And now, the receipts are dropping like bombs. Ryan Reynolds, once the supportive husband, is furious because this isn't some innocent on-set flirtation. This is his wife actively trying to cheat on him, failing miserably, and then weaponizing the hashtag #MeToo movement as part of a twisted revenge plot. And let's not act like this was some isolated moment of weakness. Blake Lively has a pattern, a habit of catching feelings for her co-stars like it's part of her job description. First, it was Penn Badgley on Gossip Girl. Then she got far too cozy with Ben Affleck while filming The Town. And let's not pretend we've forgotten how she snatched Ryan Reynolds himself while he was still married to Scarlett Johansson. That didn't stop her. She slid right into his life like it was an open invitation. Yet this is the same woman who constantly paints herself as the victim, the one mistreated, misunderstood, and underestimated in the industry. Meanwhile, she's been hopping from one Hollywood power player to the next like she's playing A-list musical chairs. This time, she set her sights on Justin Baldoni. Why wouldn't she? He's handsome, respected in Hollywood, and most importantly, happily married. And we all know Blake loves a challenge. She truly believed her pretty privilege would be enough. Bat the lashes, flash a smile, and boom, another man falls. But Baldoni? He wasn't playing that game. He shut her down. Fast. And Blake did not like that. She tried everything, pushing for steamier scenes, angling for more on-screen chemistry, even dropping flirty comments under his workout videos. It was all too obvious. And then came the now infamous quote. She actually looked Justin Baldoni in the eye and said, "Amazing. Now try it pregnant." Excuse me, what? She was trying so hard to grab his attention, and he was not biting. And let's talk about the audacity. This is the same woman who refused to work with an intimacy coordinator, the same woman who later claimed she felt unsafe on set. Make it make sense. Blake, you weren't uncomfortable when you were rewriting your own steamy scenes, pushing for extra takes, and practically begging for physical intimacy. But the second it all blew up in your face, suddenly you're the victim? She kept pushing for more intimacy, but the moment things didn't go her way, suddenly she's the victim? When Justin Baldoni still didn't give her the attention she craved, her ego took a massive hit. So big, in fact, that she turned it into a full-blown scandal. This right here is Hollywood narcissism at its peak. Blake Lively didn't just handle rejection poorly. She weaponized the Me Too movement against a man who simply didn't want to cheat on his wife. Imagine being so entitled that instead of accepting a no like a normal person, you decide, you know what? Let me ruin his entire career instead. And of course, she needed a cover story. So Blake spun a wild tale that Justin was being inappropriate, that he added steamy scenes, that he made comments about her body. But then the receipts dropped. Leaked messages and behind-the-scenes clips revealed the truth. Blake was the one obsessing over her body image. She was the one pushing for specific looks and demanding sensual revisions to scenes. And that whole "he called me fat" accusation? Completely false. The footage showed Justin actually being supportive, reassuring her not to stress, and telling her she looked great. But Blake twisted it into a dramatic victim narrative. Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds was out here going all in for his wife, thinking he was defending her honor, standing by her like a real-life hero. But in reality, Blake was running around chasing another man. Ryan was so caught up trying to tear down Baldoni that he didn't even realize the real betrayal was standing right next to him. And let's be honest, Ryan had to start getting suspicious when Blake suddenly wanted to rewrite entire movie scenes. Because, yeah, that's totally normal behavior, right? Imagine thinking your wife is just deeply passionate about her craft, only to realize she was crafting something else entirely, a new relationship with her co-star. When things started falling apart and people began poking holes in her story, Blake pulled her most desperate stunt yet, a fake voicemail. Yep. A conveniently timed recording where Justin supposedly apologizes for making her uncomfortable, but here's where it all unraveled. Tech experts got hold of the file and did a metadata analysis. What they found? A total mess. The voicemail appeared chopped up, spliced together, and edited to frame Baldoni. Given everything else that had come out, it wasn't far-fetched to think Blake had someone create a deep-fake voicemail just to keep her lies afloat. Let's be real. At this point, her credibility is in the trash. The level of manipulation is off the charts. Blake actually thought she could play the fragile, innocent victim while orchestrating an elaborate takedown of a man who simply said no to her. What does that say about her character? She truly believed that because she's Blake Lively, rejection wasn't even possible. A man turning her down? Unthinkable. And so, when reality smacked her in the face, she threw a tantrum, not behind closed doors, but publicly, trying to burn a man's life down. Then out of nowhere, a second version of that same voicemail leaked, allegedly featuring Baldoni apologizing again. But this time, the red flags were even bigger. The pacing was weird, the tone was inconsistent, and parts sounded robotic. Experts pointed out what most people were already thinking: it was fake. AI-generated. Deep-faked. Manufactured to keep a collapsing narrative alive. Blake really thought she was untouchable, Hollywood royalty who could have whatever she wanted, whenever she wanted. But when Baldoni didn't play along, she chose revenge over reality, and now, Ryan Reynolds is standing there, looking like a fool for backing her up through all of it. The saddest part? Blake thought she'd walk out of this scandal being praised as a brave, empowered woman taking down a predator. Instead, she's being exposed for what she really is: a manipulative, entitled liar. Her entire plan backfired spectacularly. And Ryan? He's finally realizing that the real villain in this story wasn't Justin Baldoni. It was the woman he married. She was standing right next to him the whole time, Hollywood's golden girl.
But now?
Blake Lively has lost her shine. And she has no one to blame but herself. Blake really thought she could finesse her way out of this mess, charm her way through the storm like she always had. But instead, she dug herself into one of the deepest holes Hollywood has ever seen. Let's rewind. After Justin Baldoni rejected her, and yes, rejected her, did Blake move on like a normal person? Not even close. She went full supervillain mode. She knew she couldn't just cry about being turned down like a regular human being, so she played the one card entitled, power-hungry Hollywood actresses always pull when their egos get bruised. She turned herself into the victim. Blake went as far as filing an official sexual harassment complaint against Baldoni, claiming he made inappropriate advances toward her on set. Now pause. Think about the audacity of that. This is the same woman who is throwing herself at Baldoni, pushing for steamier scenes, rejecting intimacy coordinators, flirting in DMs, and even leaving thirsty comments on his workout videos. But suddenly, she's the victim? She's the one being harassed. Sure, Blake. Whatever helps you sleep at night. But here's where it really unravels. Baldoni didn't roll over and let her destroy his reputation. Instead of going quiet, he hit back, hard. With receipts, behind-the-scenes footage, unfiltered metadata, leaked messages. And it all painted a very different picture. One that didn't just contradict Blake's claims, it obliterated them. Let's break it down. She claimed Baldoni smelled her neck and made creepy comments about how good she smelled. But guess what? The footage shows her complaining about how bad her spray tan smelled, and Baldoni simply reassuring her it wasn't noticeable. Nothing creepy. Just professional courtesy. She claimed he called her hot and unnecessarily extended their kissing scenes. But the receipts? They show Blake was the one pushing for those extensions. She was initiating the added intimacy.
Baldoni?
He looked uncomfortable and kept deferring to the crew, and this wasn't just tabloid gossip. Hollywood legal experts got involved. They started questioning whether Blake had actually tampered with evidence in an active legal battle. If proven, that's not just bad press. That's potential fraud, defamation, and obstruction. Serious legal consequences, but instead of saving herself, Blake doubled down. She tried to spin, manipulate, and cover up, and ended up making everything 100 times worse. And guess who finally started waking up? Ryan Reynolds. For months, Ryan had been Blake's loudest supporter, standing by her, defending her in public, believing every carefully crafted word. But once the evidence started surfacing, the leaked messages, the metadata, the behind-the-scenes footage, the story stopped adding up. He started asking questions, looking deeper. And then came the breaking point. Leaked DMs revealed that Blake had been calling Ryan an obstacle. Her own husband. She was secretly messaging Baldoni behind Ryan's back, talking about how to work around him, how to keep things hidden, how to get what she wanted without him noticing. Imagine being Ryan, standing in the spotlight, proudly defending your wife, only to find out she was playing you the entire time. You weren't her partner. You were just another pawn in her game. Ryan's wake-up call came fast and brutal. Witnesses say he finally snapped when he discovered Blake had invited Baldoni to their penthouse behind his back. Enter the now infamous Taylor Swift ambush. This was back when Blake was still obsessively pushing her ridiculous rewritten rooftop scene. But instead of having a professional discussion, she laid a trap. She invited Baldoni over under the guise of talking about the script, only to have Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift already there, waiting to pressure him into accepting her version. Imagine being Ryan, looking back on that night, realizing the whole thing was staged. His wife had used him as a pawn, a prop in her personal power play, turning him into a weapon against a man who simply didn't want her. Ryan wasn't just angry at Baldoni anymore, he was furious with Blake. Because suddenly it all clicked. He wasn't defending his wife, he was being played by her. Manipulated into fighting someone else's battle. A battle based on lies. And now, Ryan has to face the hard truth. The real betrayal didn't come from Baldoni. It came from Blake. The woman he married. The so-called victim? She was the mastermind behind one of the biggest Hollywood scandals in recent memory. Blake thought she could control the narrative, rewrite reality, like one of her movie scenes. But guess what? The truth is out. The lies are falling apart. And Hollywood is finally seeing Blake Lively for what she really is. Not a victim, not a misunderstood genius, but a manipulative, entitled narcissist who genuinely believed she was too pretty, too powerful, to ever face consequences. Ryan's left in the wreckage, his career now tangled in Blake's web of lies. And the golden girl? The effortlessly elegant, America's sweetheart? That was all an illusion. A persona built on years of careful manipulation. Blake thought she controlled everything, the studios, the media, even her own husband. She twisted reality to fit her delusion. But Hollywood finally woke up. And now, everyone's walking away. Justin Baldoni's lawsuit didn't just call out her lies, it destroyed her entire image. Once the biggest players in Hollywood saw the receipts, they ran. No one wants to be tied to a woman who faked harassment claims just because a man rejected her. And it's not just her reputation that's tanking. Ryan's is circling the drain right along with it. But let's talk about the final bombshell. The one that blew up whatever shred of credibility Blake had left. The New York Times scandal. When Baldoni's legal team started digging into the metadata behind the infamous NYT hit piece, the one that painted him as some predatory villain, they discovered something insane. The article was already being written days before Blake even filed her complaint. Let that sink in. The New York Times wasn't reporting on the story. They were waiting for it. Worse, they weren't just passive observers. They were part of the plan. This wasn't journalism. It was a coordinated takedown. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds had allegedly fed the media a pre-scripted hit piece before there was even a story to tell. It was all orchestrated, a fake narrative pushed through a major publication, built to destroy Baldoni's career before the truth had any chance to surface. But now, the truth is loud. The metadata doesn't lie. And the New York Times? They've been exposed, caught red-handed, their digital fingerprints all over the scheme. The timing, the edits, the coordination, all of it points to one thing. This wasn't a scandal that spiraled out of control. This was premeditated character assassination, and now Blake Lively is watching the whole thing collapse. Let's talk sabotage, and this time, it circles back to Ryan Reynolds' agency, WME. You know, the powerhouse that reps some of the biggest names in Hollywood? The second Blake went public with her accusations, WME dropped Justin Baldoni like dead weight. No investigation. No questions. Just straight-up cancellation. At first, it looked like Blake and Ryan had pulled off a brutal power move, getting one of Hollywood's biggest agencies to erase Baldoni overnight. But then the cracks started to show. Whispers from insiders suggested it might not have been WME's decision at all. What if Ryan pressured them himself? All while blindly defending Blake, not realizing he was just a pawn in her game. So now it's totally plausible Ryan used his influence to blacklist Baldoni, to protect a woman who was flat out lying to him. And now, Ryan looks like a fool. Because with every new revelation, Hollywood is starting to see Blake for what she really is. That sweet, polished, America's sweetheart persona? It's crumbling. Studios are rethinking everything. She's not a box office draw anymore. She's a walking PR nightmare. And if there's one thing Hollywood won't tolerate, a financial liability. But this isn't just about bad press. It's about real consequences. Blake isn't just falling out of favor. She's on the verge of major legal trouble. Justin Baldoni is fighting back hard, and he's not just suing for defamation. He's going after her for fraud, fabricated evidence, and character assassination. And here's where Ryan could go down to. If he helped push false claims, pressured agencies, coordinated with media like the New York Times, or used his own platform to drag Baldoni, he could be legally on the hook, right next to Blake. Let's not forget, the Reynolds Lively brand has always been about their perfect image, Hollywood's power couple. Millions in endorsements, sponsorships, and business ventures built on that relatable royalty vibe.
But now,
that empire is collapsing. Brands want nothing to do with scandals this big, especially ones involving fake harassment claims used as revenge tactics. And the irony? The career Blake tried to destroy Baldoni's is thriving. Hollywood is rallying behind him. Execs, directors, producers, they see him as the real victim. He stood his ground, brought receipts, and refused to back down. Now he's landing more work than ever, while Blake watches her career crash and burn. The trial's set, but many think it won't even get that far. Blake's too desperate to let this reach open court, because if it does, every shred of evidence comes out. So what's the likely outcome? She'll try to settle, quietly. Throw money at the fire, hoping people move on. But here's the thing, no one is forgetting this. Because it's not just one false accusation. It's the lengths Blake Lively allegedly went to manipulate everything and everyone. She cheated on her husband, tried to ruin the man who rejected her, lied to Ryan, used Taylor Swift as a pawn, spun the media, faked evidence, all to feed her ego. Now, she's out of moves. Ryan sees the truth. Hollywood's done pretending. Blake played the game and lost. Hard. If you want more unfiltered takedowns and the truth Hollywood won't touch, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and share this video. Because trust me, we're just getting started.